Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I am Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In today's video, I am going to teach you some wonderful poem, The Nation's Strength, written by Ralph Waldo Emerson, a renowned American poet. And I request all of you to pay a very good attention to this poem till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to consider subscribing to my channel and also sharing this video with all those friends of yours that are also going to take the DSC examination very shortly. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. The Nation's Strength, written by Ralph Waldo Emerson. We can call him shortly R.W. Emerson. And before I teach you this poem, I would like to tell you a few things about this poet R.W. Emerson. You know, R.W. Emerson was a prominent American philosopher, essayist, and also the poet of the 19th century. In his lifetime, he composed a large number of most powerful and thought-provoking poems and also most influential essays that brought him laurels from all over the world and made him world-famous literary personality. Okay, and through his poems, essays and lectures, he advocates for self-reliance, individuality and a deep connection with the natural world. And he was the central figure of the transcendental movement, and almost all his poems reflected the transcendental beliefs and often explored the themes of nature, individuality and the divine. And he inspired a generation of writers and thinkers, including Walt Whitman and Margaret Fuller. And all his literary works have left an indelible mark on the American literature and philosophy. So in this way, I can tell you only a few things, a few points about this poet, and I would like to tell you a few more points about this poem also. Okay, and this poem challenges the readers to reconsider their understanding of what truly makes a strong nation. And this poem also emphasizes that the strength of a nation lies only in the virtues and the virtuous characters of its people, but not in the material wealth, military power and pride. And this poem is also a call to all the people to cultivate certain virtues like truth, dignity, bravery, honesty, sincerity, as they are the foundations upon which a strong nation can be built. Okay, and this poem is typically structured in quatrains. Quatrains means, you know very well, a 4-line poem is called a quatrain, and in this poem there are as many as 6 quatrains, and each following the regular rhyme scheme, that is AB AB. AB AB is the regular rhyme scheme. Okay, that is followed in this poem in all the 6 stanzas. Okay, this is what I can tell you about this poem very briefly. Now I would like to give you all these important points on the slides for your convenience, for your ready reference also. Okay, and here first of all I would like to talk to you about the poet. Okay, and R.W. Emerson was born on 25th May 1803 in Boston, Massachusetts. So this is about his birth. And the next point about him is he was a prominent American philosopher, essayist and poet of the 19th century. So he belongs to the 19th century. Therefore, he was called the prominent American philosopher, essayist and poet of the 19th century. Right. And he was the son of Unitarian minister. Unitarian means it is the denomination of a church. Emerson's father was a Unitarian minister. That means he was some church's clergyman. Minister means clergyman. Pujari, something like that. His father was William Emerson and his mother was Ruth Huskins. So these are the names of his parents. Okay, you go to the next point. Emerson's father died when he was just 8. So about his biography I am telling you. So here his father died when this R.W. Emerson, this boy was just 8 years of age and leaving the family in financial hardship. After the head of the family expires, what happens? Naturally, the family will be bogged down in the financial hardships. You know that very well, right? And now let's move on to learn other important points about this poet. Despite these challenges, because his father expired when he was just an 8-year-old boy, okay, and Emerson pursued an education attending the Boston Latin School. This is the school which he attended as a boy, and afterwards later Harvard College, where he graduated in 1821. So from that college he got graduated, right? And this is about his education. And you go to the next point. He began his career as a Unitarian minister, following in his father's footsteps. That means, just like his father, who was also a Unitarian minister, he also started his career as a Unitarian minister, as a Unitarian church clergyman or pastor, something like that. And next, he became a central figure in the Transcendentalist movement. And Transcendentalist movement, so that was the movement that was in full swing in those days, and he became the central figure. That's very important. And what is this transcendental movement means? This movement was rooted in the belief that individuals can transcend the physical world and the limitations thereof through spirituality and a connection with nature. So that is the philosophy, that is the belief of the transcendental movement. Although primarily known for his essays and lectures, and you know very well that he was a great essayist and a lecturer. Okay, he gave so many lectures. That's why we can call him a lecturer. Okay, lecturer on various spiritual topics and all that. And he also wrote so many essays and all that. So apart from these things, he was also a gifted poet. Not only an essayist and a lecturer or a philosopher, but he was also a great or a gifted poet. Okay, and one more point about him is his essays, lectures and poems advocated for self-reliance, individualism and a deep connection with the natural world. So all his essays, all his lectures, all his poems reveal what self-reliance, individualism and a deep connection with the natural world. So that is only the philosophy he teaches through his essays, lectures and poems. He advocated this philosophy only throughout his life through his literary works. And now let's move on to other points about this poet. And his major essays include, which is a very important point from your examination, right? His essays include what? Nature. So this is the most important essay, okay, which he had written in his lifetime, and because this deals with transcendentalism and all that. And here you pay attention, self-reliance. It was written in 1841. Okay, and here the American scholars, a very, very important one. Generally, this essay would be prescribed for study for MA English Literature students. So this essay he wrote in 1837. And next essays, okay, one collection of essays, that's called first series. This was published in 1841. Okay, and the next essays, second series, and they were published in 1844. And here note, these collections include some of his most influential essays, such as The Oversoul, Circles and the Experience. So these, The Oversoul, Circles and Experience, these are also our most influential essays of this R.W. Emerson, and these are also included in these collections. Okay, and coming to his poems, some of his notable poems include what? He also wrote so many poems in his lifetime, and the Rhodora, Concord Hymn, Brahma, these are the very important poems which he composed during his lifetime. Okay, and here now let's move on to learn other important things about this great poet. all his poetry reflects his transcendentalist beliefs and often explores the themes of nature, individuality, and the divine. So these are the main themes of his poems, okay, because they are all transcendentalist beliefs. Okay, therefore he explores the themes of nature, individuality, and the divine in his poetry, right? And here he inspired a generation of writers and thinkers, including Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman, and Margaret Fuller. He influenced all these great poets, right? And he was a profound thinker, writer, whose work has left an indelible mark on American literature and philosophy. You know very well, he was a profound thinker. He was also a great writer, and all his works have left an indelible mark on American literature and philosophy. Even today, people of America remember him, and people are doing research on his poetry, on his essays, on his philosophy, and so on. So all these things are about Emerson. Okay, one more important point about him is through his essays, lectures, and poetry, he championed the values of individualism, self-reliance, and a deep connection with nature, right? So all these things he championed through his essays, lectures, and poetry. Emerson continued to lecture and write until his health declined in his later years. So he continued writing, okay, until his health declined in his later years, and he died on April 27th, 1882 in Concord, Massachusetts. In his own state, in his own place, he died in 1882. So this is what we can learn about this great poet, okay, who taught us individualism, self-reliance, and a deep connection with nature. Please keep all these things in your mind. And now let's move on to learn a few things about the poem. And here you pay attention, the nation's strength, this is the title of the poem, is a powerful, thought-provoking poem. What kind of poem? It's a powerful poem. It's a thought-provoking poem that challenges the readers. This poem is challenging the readers for what? To reconsider their understanding of what makes a nation truly great, what actually makes a nation strong. That's very important. Most of the readers, most of the people think in a different way. Some people think only wealth can make a nation strong. Some people think only the military power can make a nation strong. But that is not the correct thing. What actually makes a nation strong, what actually makes a nation great, that thing all the people must think of. So this poem is going to tell you about that. Okay. And here the next point about this poem is the central theme of the nation's strength is the exploration of what truly constitutes the power and greatness of a nation. What truly constitutes means what truly makes up, what truly composes the power and greatness of a nation. So that is the theme of this poem, the nation's strength. And the poet strongly emphasizes that the true strength of a nation, the true strength of a nation, the true power of a nation, the true greatness of a nation lies only in the virtues and character of its people. If the people have virtues, if the people have very good character, that itself can make a nation great, that itself can make a nation powerful, that itself can make a nation very strong. So all these things are there rather than in material wealth, military might and pride. So material wealth cannot make a country strong. And military might or military power cannot make a nation, nation means country, cannot make a nation strong or great. And pride also cannot make a nation great or strong. So all these things are wrong. Only the virtues of the people, the good character of the people can only make one nation a great, strong and powerful, something like that, right? And these points we are going to learn in the poem. And now let's move on to other important points about the poem. The poem is a call to individuals. Remember, this poem is a call to individuals. Individuals means to all the people. What is that call? To cultivate virtues. All of us must cultivate some virtues. What are the virtues? Like truth. We must cultivate the virtue of truth. That means we must maintain some truth all throughout our life. That means we must be truthful. We must be honest. We must be sincere. But nowadays, people are not so. All are trying to cheat one another. All are trying to cheat one another, loot one another, deceive one another. What is this nasty thing? So here, the virtue of truth everybody must have. The virtue of honor. Honor means dignity. One must maintain his dignity. He should not stoop down to the lowest level. He should not stoop down to low level. He should maintain his dignity. Honor means dignity. He must maintain bravery. This is yet another important virtue. And here, reliability, dependence. So you must rely on your own abilities, on your own efforts, on your own mental caliber, on your own personal strengths only you have to rely. So that reliability is very important. So these are the important virtues: truth, honor, bravery and reliability, because these are the true foundations upon which a great nation is built. You know very well, upon these things only the great nation can be built, the powerful nation can be built, the strong nation can be built. In whichever the country there are truthful people, dignified people, brave people, self-reliable people, that country will really become a great country, powerful country, strong country, and so on. So that is the great message this poet is going to convey through this poem. The nation's strength is typically structured in quatrains. Just now I have told you about that. This poem is structured in quatrains. Quatrain means, okay, 4-line poem is called a quatrain. Like that, 6 lines, 6 quatrains are there. 6 for the 24 lines are there in this poem. 6 stanzas are there. 6 quatrains are there. 6 for the 24 lines are there all together in this poem. And what kind of rhyme scheme is used in this? A regular rhyme scheme. Regular means always AB. AB is a regular rhyme scheme is being followed. So this is about the structure of the poem and the rhyming scheme of the poem, right? And this is a very important point. And next you go to the last point about the poem. The style of the poem is straightforward and didactic. The style of the poem is straightforward and didactic. That means, the poet is not beating about the bush. Okay? Whatever he wants to tell you, he is telling you directly. Whatever he wants to teach you, he is teaching you directly. So therefore, it is straightforward. And it is also didactic, means it is giving some kind of instruction. It is teaching you some morals. It is teaching you some good things. That's called didactic. Encouraging the readers to look beyond material possessions. And this poem is asking all of you to think beyond material possessions. Of course, these possessions are there. Gold, silver, lands, houses, whatnot. These are all material possessions. They do not come with us. Only our good name will remain after us. You know about Alexander the Great. He was called the conqueror of the world. He conquered most of the world. And did he carry anything from this world? It's all a mere waste. Because here, material possessions are just temporary. They may give you satisfaction for a temporary period, okay, but for a long period, they won't give you any kind of satisfaction. And that's why, you must think beyond material possessions and to value the moral and ethical qualities. You must give importance to moral qualities, ethical qualities, moral values and all that truly strengthen a society. If at all in a particular society, if there are people having moral qualities and ethical values and people full of virtues, that kind of society will be flourishing like anything, and that society is very strong, powerful and great. So that's why in a nation means in a country, the people must maintain all these beautiful virtues. And they must maintain moral qualities, ethical qualities, and then only that country will flourish like anything. It can prosper like anything. And that country is only called a great country, a strong country, a powerful country. So here, that is the message the poet wants to drive to you through this poem. Now let's move on to learn about the poem. Okay, right. The text of Ralph Waldo Emerson's poem, The Nation's Strength. Okay. Now, you know very well, this is the first stanza, and before I give you the meaning of this stanza, I would like to show you the picture of this poet, world famous poet R.W. Emerson. This poet has written this poem, and this poem is very straightforward and didactic, and there is nothing confusing, nothing difficult to understand. So here, let me give you the meaning of this. What makes a nation's pillars high and its foundation strong? So this is a one sentence actually. So this line is entering this line. So therefore this is called an enjambment. It's a literary device, you know very well. And what makes a nation's pillars high? What is the meaning of this? The poet is beginning the poem with a question. He says that what, okay, let me write. What makes a nation, okay, what makes a nation, okay, what makes a nation strong? First point. What makes a nation strong? ఏది ఒక దేశాన్ని బలంగా చెయ్యగలదు? Right. And here a nation's pillars high. That means he also says what makes a nation's pillars stand tall. Stand high means stand tall. ఏది ఒక దేశం యొక్క పిల్లర్లను నిటారుగా నిలపగలదు? Whenever the pillars are strong and erect, strong and tall, erect, what happens? Then that building will stand on the pillars very firmly, very strongly. The building that is constructed on the pillars will be very firm and all that. It will be very strong. If the pillars are shaky, if the pillars are unstable, automatically the building will also tumble down someday or the other. Therefore, here the poet is asking you to tell him what makes a nation's pillars stand tall. ఏది ఒక దేశం యొక్క పిల్లర్లను మరి నిటారుగా నిలబెట్టగలుగునది? Right. And here he says, and its foundations strong. And he also says, what makes, okay, what makes the foundations, okay, it's, let me say, what makes its foundations, okay, the foundations of the foundations under these pillars. These are the pillars and foundations of a nation. What makes its foundations strong? Strong means what? Robust and enduring. Robust means very strong, balishtamaynaviga. And here enduring and means living for a long time. Kalakalam undetiviga. Edi ఒక దేశం యొక్క పునాదులను మరి బలమైనదిగా, బలిష్టమైనవిగా, కలకాలముండునవిగా చేయునది. That is the Telugu meaning of that. So here in these two lines you understand these three things. What is that? The poet is beginning the poem with a question about what makes a nation strong, first point. What makes a nation's pillars stand tall, second point. And what makes its foundations robust and enduring, this is the third point. Okay, and here let us go to the meaning of these two lines. And in these two lines it is the poet says, what makes its mighty to defy the force that around it throng. So again this line is entering this line, and therefore this is called an enjambment. It's a literary device, you know very well. And here what makes it mighty to defy, that means the poet says what is that makes it mighty. That means what makes a nation mighty means what? Powerful. What makes a nation powerful? Why? Why should a nation become powerful? Means to defy. To defy means what? To stand against. To stand against what? The challenges. The challenges the country is very likely to face. Today, this India is facing challenges from China, challenges from Pakistan, challenges from other bordering countries. Other challenges also this country is facing. You know very well. So here, every country must become mighty, powerful. Why? So as to stand against the challenges it is likely to face. ఆ దేశము ఎదుర్కోబోతున్నటువంటి ఛాలెంజెస్ను ఎదుర్కోవడానికి ఏది ఆ దేశాన్ని పవర్ఫుల్గా చేస్తుంది? ఇతరుల నుంచి వచ్చే ఛాలెంజర్స్ ఎదుర్కోవడానికి పవర్ఫుల్గా ఏది చేస్తుంది ఒక దేశాన్ని, సంథింగ్ లైక్ దట్. అండ్ హియర్ ద ఫోర్స్ దట్ రౌండ్ ఇట్ థ్రాంగ్, దట్ మీన్స్ వాట్ మేక్స్ ఎ నేషన్ పవర్ఫుల్ సో యాజ్ టు, వాట్ ఇస్ దట్, సో యాజ్ టు డిఫై మీన్స్ అనదర్ మీనింగ్ కెన్ సే రెసిస్ట్ the force, resist. The force means enemies. To stand against, one meaning you have taken. To resist, another meaning you have taken from that. Defy means ఎదిరించుట. To stand against the challenges it faces, one point. And here to resist the enemies that round it throng. Round it throng means that surround it. That surround it. Surrounding enemies are there. China is there. Pakistan is there. And other bordering countries are there. They are enemies to this country. They are trying to occupy this country. So what makes a nation powerful? So as to stand against the challenges it is likely to face, first point. So as to resist the enemies that are surrounding it. The enemies are surrounding this country. So not only India, every country has got its own enemies, its own challenges and all that. So to face the challenges, to resist the enemies, that country must become powerful. And what is that that makes a nation so powerful? మరి అలా ఒక దేశం శక్తివంతమైనదిగా మారాలంటే ఏది ఆ దేశాన్ని అలా మార్చగలుగుతుంది? So in this first stanza, the poet is asking all questions. Okay, these are the three questions, these are the two questions. Okay, right, this is the meaning of this first stanza. You go to the meaning of the second stanza, right? So this is the second stanza. It is not gold, its kingdoms grand, go down in battle's shock. Here the poet is saying that it is not gold. That means it is not wealth. Gold means what? It is not gold. It is not grand kingdoms. Grand kingdoms means powerful kingdoms or glorious kingdoms. Any meaning you can take. Powerful kingdoms or glorious kingdoms or grand kingdoms. Kingdoms means what? Countries again. So here it is not wealth. It is not powerful kingdoms that can make the nations strong. That means they cannot contribute to the strength of a nation. That means they are not the sources of the strength of a nation. So wealth is not the source of the strength of a nation. These grand kingdoms are not the source of the strength of a nation, right? And here go down in battles shock, because these two things are there. Wealth and grand kingdoms, they are just temporary. Because one day or the other, what happens? This wealth may be plundered. This wealth may be looted. It is not permanent. Don't think it is always with you. It is not permanent. Even the kingdoms are also not permanent. Someday or the other, in some battle or the other, what happens? They might crumble down. They might fall down. That's why yes, go down in battle shock. That means these kingdoms will also fall down. They crumble down in some battles. Therefore, these two are just temporary. They cannot contribute to the strength of a nation. Its shafts are laid on sinking sand. And here the foundations of these two things are laid on a sinking sand. That means the foundations of this wealth, the foundations of these powerful kingdoms are laid, built where? On shaky grounds. Okay, shaky. Sinking means shaky, unstable, you can also call it unstable ground. The foundations of these two things are built on shaky grounds or unstable ground. Okay, and here not on abiding rock. They are not built on something that is stable. Therefore, they are not permanent. Therefore, they cannot contribute to the strength of a nation. ఇవి ఒక దేశం యొక్క శక్తికి అవి దోహదపడవు. Because they are temporary. It's like that. So here this is the meaning of this little stanza, and now let's move on to learn the other stanzas. Okay, and third stanza is here, and before that you can also see one of his best essays, because he is very dear to nature. He loved nature very much, just like our William Wordsworth. He was a worshipper of nature and he was a lover of nature. Okay, and this is the title of his and most popular essay, Nature, right? Here, this is the third stanza. In the third stanza, what is the poet telling you? Come on, let us see that here. Is it the sword or the red dust of empires passed away? So here, now the poet is again questioning you. He says whether the sword means what? Here the sword stands as a symbol for military. What is that? Military power. So that means the military power can also not make a nation great. People think if the country has more military power, it is very strong, but it's not like that. So the military power also cannot make a nation strong, right? And as the red dust of empires passed away. Here you just see the empires. Big empires have ruled this world, and now those empires are no more. And the empires boasting of their military power have passed away. They are no more now, leaving behind them some remnants. Okay, some remnants. This military power has not saved them. This military power has not prevented them from falling down, from getting crumbled down. So this military power has not saved the empires. Therefore, they passed away. And here the blood has turned their stones rust. It means what? The bloodshed in the battlefields, what happened? Has left ruins. Dust means what? Ruins. Ruins of what? Their stones. That's empires or kingdoms. So here the bloodshed in the battles has left ruins of these empires, their glory to decay, and all their glory, all their name and fame has been reduced to nothing. Military power has led all these empires to what? Destruction or decay. Now you cannot find any of these empires. Military power means destruction. Military power means bloodshed. Military power means battles. So now this military power has not saved the empires. It has only led them to destruction and decay. And therefore today you don't find the empires which ruled this vast world once upon a time. So that means this military power also is not the source of a nation's strength. So that point you have to understand from. So in this way, three stanzas are over. You go to the meaning of the fourth stanza. Is it pride? Ah, that bright crown has seemed to nations sweet. Let me give you the meaning of these two lines. Here you pay attention. The poet is again asking a question whether this pride means what? Pride and vanity. Pride, garvamu. Vanity means ahankaramu, ahambhavamu. Whether this pride and vanity are the sources of a nation's strength. He's asking them whether they are the sources of a nation's strength. And he says, that bright crown, that means pride, has seemed to nations sweet. Bright crown means this pride is quite appealing to several nations, several rich nations, because the rich nations usually resort to boasting of their riches and all that. And they take pride in that. And they boast of their economic growth. They boast of their big universities. They boast of their great technology. They boast of their bridges. They boast of their forests. They boast of their monuments. They boast of their great persons in that country. They boast of great things of that country. And here, in India, what happens? We boast of the Taj Mahal. We boast of so many monuments in our country. We boast of long rivers. We boast of great culture. We boast of certain things. In that way, every country will boast of certain great things of that country. So here, this is called, that bright crown, that means that pride, has seemed to nations sweet, but God has struck its luster down. There's a beautiful verse written in the Bible. Pride goes before a fall. Nashanamunaku mundu garvam nadustundi. That is a beautiful verse mentioned in the Bible. So that's why here the countries are growing proud and arrogant. Means now what happens? God intervenes. And what does God do? He will humble all of them. He will bring natural calamities to that country. He will bring disasters to that country. And they, in that way what happens, God humbles them. God intervenes and humbles them. And what does he do? And ashes at his feet. And God will bring their glory to the low level. So this is what the poet tells us in this stanza. This is the fifth stanza. And before that, you look at one beautiful quotation he has written in one of his essays. A good way to repay a kindness shown is to pass it on. Suppose somebody has done good to you. How to repay that good to him? You do that good to some other person. You cannot repay that good to him again. Okay, you had better repay that good to somebody else. So here, a good way to repay a kindness shown is to pass it on. So you pass it on to others. That means, you show your kindness towards others. So it's a beautiful quotation. And here, the fifth stanza, you see the meaning of that fifth stanza. Not gold, but only men can make a people great and strong. So here, you look at the meaning of these two lines. Here, in this fifth stanza, the poet is asserting that it is not gold. That means, material possessions. Material possessions. So this gold stands for all material possessions. Gold, silver, okay, military power, all physical things are called material possessions. The poet asserts that the true strength of, what's that? The true strength, okay. The true strength of a nation, okay. The true strength of a nation comes not from the material possessions. Not gold means the true strength of a nation comes not from the material possessions, but only from men can make. That means from only the men, from only the people. True strength of a nation comes not from material possessions, but only from these people themselves. That means the people only can make a nation great. The people only can make a nation strong. The people only can make a nation powerful. That means, everything is there in the hands of the people themselves. And these material possessions cannot make any nation great, strong and powerful. You know that very well. So here, therefore, he says, not gold, but only men can make. And here the poet says, a people great and strong means, it is only the people that can make the nation great, that can make the nation strong. Men who for truth and honor's sake stand fast and suffer long. So here the poet says, it is only the men, who for truth, that means who are truthful head over heels from top to bottom, and honor's sake means who maintain dignity. Honor means dignity. Who maintain dignity can only make the nation strong. The true strength of a nation comes only from these men who are truthful, who are sincere, who are honest, and who maintain dignity and of individuality. And stand fast and suffer long. That means, stand fast means what? Stand firm. Whoever stands firm. And suffer long means whoever endures. What? Who stands firm and endures in their moral values and ethical qualities. From these people also, whoever stands firm and endures in their moral values and ethical qualities. That means the true strength of a nation comes from those people who stand firm and endure in their moral values and ethical qualities. So this is what the poet wants to tell us in this fifth stanza. Now you go to the meaning of the last stanza. This is the sixth stanza. This is the continuation of this fifth stanza. In this stanza also, he is telling you about the people who can make a nation great, strong and powerful. So here he is talking about the brave men, okay, who work while others sleep. That means he says it is only the people who work diligently and bravely while others sleep. Others sleep means while other people are idling away their time, and who dare while others fly. That means who can dare. Who can dare means what? Who can risk their life, and who are ready to face the challenges for the sake of the country. Okay, while others flee, others slip away. While others are slipping away, these people, what are they doing? They are taking risks for the sake of this country. So with these people also, a nation becomes great and strong, and they build a nation's pillar deep. Only such people can build a nation's pillar stronger and deeper. Okay, only such people can build a nation's pillars stronger and deeper and lift them to the sky, and they can elevate that nation to the greatest heights. Okay, they can elevate that country to the greatest heights. Okay, from this poem you have understood one very important point. What is that? The material possessions like gold, like military power cannot make a nation great, strong and powerful, but only the people having virtues, having moral qualities, having ethical values can make the nation great, powerful and strong. So this point is discussed and described in this poem, and hope you have understood the meaning of this poem. Now let's move on to learn about the literary devices the poet has employed in this poem. Okay, literary devices used in the poem The Nation's Strength. In the poem The Nation's Strength, several literary devices are employed. So in this poem, many literary devices are used. Why? In order to enhance its thematic depth, in order to enhance its theme, and also its emotional impact. So for these two things, this poet has employed several literary devices. Let us know what they are all. Okay, let us learn all of them very quickly. Okay, here the key literary devices used in the poem are, so the first one is repetition. Repetition means what? The word or the phrase that is repeated all over the poem. That is called repetition. So here you pay attention. Repetition is used to emphasize key ideas. Generally what happens, either the poet or any writer, okay, or for that matter even a teacher also repeats certain important aspects, key ideas, okay, only for emphasis sake, okay, so that those ideas can be instilled into the minds of the students, okay, and reinforce the poem's central message. So to strengthen what the poem's central message, this repetition is employed in this poem. And here the phrase men who. So this phrase men who is repeated to underscore the importance of individual virtues in building a nation's strength. So this phrase has been used several times throughout the poem. So here men who, this phrase has been used in this poem for so many times. So this is therefore called a repetition, right? And now let's move on to the other literary devices. The second one here is imagery. Imagery means, all of you know pretty well, that it is nothing but a visualization of some scene. Okay, right. And here Emerson uses vivid imagery to paint pictures in the reader's mind. So he has, he creates vivid imagery in the mind of the readers. Okay. And some example is given for this. The blood has turned their stones to rust. So whenever this line is read by you, immediately a picture will flash on your mental screen. So that picture itself is called imagery. What kind of picture will flash on your mental screen? The blood means the battle has turned their stones. Their stones means their kingdoms or their empires. To rust means to ruins. I have already given you the meaning of this line. So the battle has turned their empires to ruins. So that is the meaning of this line. So whenever you come across this line, immediately a picture will flash on your mental screen. So that picture itself is called visualization. Okay, that picture itself is called imagery, right? This creates a strong visual of decay and neglect, right? And you go to the next one. Personification is there. What is personification? Attributing human qualities to the abstract ideas or inanimate things. That is personification. Emerson personifies abstract concepts as in, so some line is given, God has struck its luster down. What is God? God is an abstract idea. You don't know how God will be and where God will be and all those things. That's only an abstract idea, isn't it? Here the line is like this: God has struck. God has struck means God has humbled its luster down. That means, God has humbled the proud nations by removing their glory and making them come down to the low level. So human actions are attributed to this God. God has struck. That means God has destroyed the glory of the proud nations. And now let's move on to other literary devices. And here rhyme scheme is there. Rhyme scheme, all of you know very well about the rhyme scheme of this poem. This poem follows a regular rhyme scheme, that is AB, AB. You know very well. Here you pay attention, and the poem typically follows a regular rhyme scheme. What is the regular rhyme scheme? AB, AB is always called a regular rhyme scheme, which helps to reinforce its message and make memorable. So here it reinforces its message and make it more memorable. So this rhyme scheme makes the message more memorable, okay, and that is the job it does, and it gives some kind of beauty. The rhyme scheme also contributes to the poem's musical quality. This is very important. So these two things you know very well. So keep this point. Rhyme scheme always gives some musical quality to the poem. That is okay, right? Let us take one example for this. The poem uses rhyming couplets such as make, sake, long, strong. If you can observe the 6 quatrains, in each quatrain AB, 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 so very beautiful rhyme scheme is followed very scrupulously, right? Now let's move on to other literary terms. Alliteration is there. All of you know very well. The repetition of a consonantal sound is an alliteration, right? And alliteration, the repetition of initial consonantal sounds, is used to create rhythm and musicality in the poem. Only to create rhythm and musicality. So here you pay attention: stand fast and suffer long. So sa and sa in this line. And another example is also given here: brave men who work while. Wha, wa, wa. Who work while. So this is called alliteration. So in this, what is that? Here the repetition of the S and W sounds add a rhythmic quality to the poem. That is there, right? You go to the next literary device. Metaphor is there. Metaphor means implied simile is called a metaphor. So the poem uses metaphors to convey deeper meanings, such as pillars high. You can say pillars high. What is that metaphor? That means, so people of the country are just like the pillars of the nation. So here people are compared with pillars, and here foundations are strong. So that means, people are like the foundation for a strong nation. Okay. So here people are compared with the pillars, people are compared with the foundations. So representing the essential qualities that make a nation great. So these are the essential qualities. So the comparison is direct. So people are just like the pillars, people are just like the foundations for a strong nation, for a powerful nation, for a great nation. So that is what he wants to tell you. So this is a direct simile, direct comparison, that is therefore called a metaphor. You go to the other literary devices. Anaphora is there. Anaphora means the repetition of phrases at the beginning of lines. The repetition of phrases at the beginning of lines is called anaphora. What is that? Here you pay attention. What makes a nation's pillars high? What makes? So this is repeated several times. What makes, like that. So it's an anaphora. And here, is it the sword? Is it gold? This is it also repeated. So this is a phrase, this is a phrase. These phrases are repeated in the poem, okay, several times, and therefore this is therefore called anaphora. And here the phrases are repeated, right? You go to the 8th one. Contrast is there. Contrast means opposition. So the poem contrasts different sources of strength. Gold, sword, pride, they are on one side, and they are contrasted with what? Yes, strength derived from honorable and brave men on the other hand. gold, sword and pride. Okay, they are on one side, and honorable and qualitative people are on the other side. So these two aspects are contrasted in the poem. Okay, and the ninth one, rhetorical questions are also there. Very thought-provoking questions are there. Rhetorical questions to provoke thought-provoking questions and emphasize its points, such as, what is it? Is it the sword? And is it pride? Is it gold? They are all rhetorical questions. They make you think about that. They are therefore called thought-provoking questions, rhetorical questions. Right. Now, let's move on to other literary devices. So, the next one is antithesis. Okay. What is antithesis? Antithesis is the juxtaposition of contrasting ideas. Two contrasting ideas, if they are juxtaposed means placed side by side, that itself is called antithesis. And this is done only to highlight the differences and create emphasis. Okay, and here you pay attention, not gold, but only man. Okay, here these two are contrasted, gold and man. What kind of man? Man means here honorable people, truthful people, daring people, dashing people, who can make the country great and strong. So, on one side, gold, that stands for material wealth. On the other side, people who have moral and ethical strength. Okay, so these two things are juxtaposed, and only to indicate the difference. Okay, and to create emphasis. Now you move on to the next literary device. Tone is there. What is the tone of the poem? The tone of the poem is didactic. Didactic means teaching some moral. That is called didactic. And earnest, reflecting Emerson's serious and instructive approach to the subject of national strength. So in this poem, he is teaching you how a nation can be made powerful, how a nation can be made stronger, how a nation can be made greater. So if you want to make a nation greater, stronger, more powerful, what is that? It all depends not on material possessions, but only on the people themselves. If the people have all great virtues and ethical values, ethical qualities, then only such people can only make the nation a great one, a strong one, a powerful one. So that is what he is teaching you in this poem. So it's didactic. Didactic means teaching some moral, teaching some lesson that is there. Right. This is the tone of this poem. You go to the last literary devices. So the 12th one is parallelism. Parallelism means what? So parallel construction of the sentences or lines is called parallelism. So here's parallelism involves using similar structure in successive phrases or lines. Similar construction must be there. So this is in order to create balance and rhythm. This is done in order to create some balance and rhythm. So let us take one example for this. Brave men who work, who dare. So here, who work, who dare. So these constructions are called parallelism. Okay, here is used the parallel structure to emphasize the consistency and reliability of virtuous individuals. Okay, right. You go to the last literary device, symbolism is there. In this poem, several symbols are used for several important things. Here you pay attention, various symbols are used to represent broader ideas. What are they? Here, gold is used as a symbol for wealth. Okay, and here sword is used as a symbol for military power, and next pride is used to symbolize what? Arrogance and hubris. So here these are the words used for these words. Okay, so they are symbolizing these things. Okay, so in this way there are as many as 13 literary devices we can come across in this beautiful poem. And now I'm going to give you some exercise that you have to do on your own. Okay, you have to solve all those questions on your own. At the end of the questions, you can find the answers also. Right, and now you just go to the exercise. Multiple choice questions on the poem The Nation's Strength. So here are given as many as 20 multiple choice questions. You have to solve them on your own, and if you cannot solve these questions, you just refer to the poem, and they are simply based on all these things that I have taught. These questions are given here. You please answer all of them. Okay, at the end of these questions you can find the answers also. Right, and here, what does the poet first ask about a nation's strength? Okay, Okay, it's wealth, it's foundations, it's people, it's government. Okay, and here, according to the poem, what is not a source of a nation's strength? Okay, and gold, people, truth, honor. So you know the right answer. You please tick it. Okay, now let's move on to other questions. What do kingdoms grand go down in according to the poem? What does it mean, kingdoms grand? Glorious kingdoms, okay, powerful kingdoms. I think I have given you that kind of meaning only. And in the poem, glory, wealth, battle, shock, peace. You know that very well. That is in the poem itself. Please, you can choose the correct answer. And you go to the next one. What are the foundations of wealth, grandeur compared to? Right. And abiding rock, sinking sand, solid ground, mountain peaks. Right. You go to the other questions. Fifth question. What is the metaphor used for military power in the poem? Metaphor. Sword, shield, crown, gold. So you know that very well. And here the sixth one. What has turned the stones of empires to rust? What has it done? Water, time, blood, wealth. Okay, you also know this answer pretty well. You can answer it. You go to the other questions. What has God done to the pride of nations? You know very well. Elevated it, struck it down, ignored it, rewarded it. You know the answer. And you go to the next one. What does the poem suggest is the true foundation of a nation's strength? Wealth, pride, men, military power. You know that very well. Okay, you go to other questions. Ninth one. What qualities do the men who build a nation's strength possess? Wealth and power, truth and honor, pride and vanity, military might. Military might means military power. Okay, and you go to the 10th question. According to the poem, what do brave men do while others sleep? What do brave men do while others sleep? Rest, work, play, dream. So that you know very well. And now let's move on to other questions. What do brave men do while others fly? Stand still, dare, hide, complain. So you know that very well. Right. What happens to the bright crown of pride? Bright crown means already I have told you that it is glory. Okay. It shines forever. It is struck down. It grows brighter. It becomes wealthier. You know the answer. Right. Where does God strike down the pride of nations? In battle, at his feet, in the marketplace, on the throne. 14th one. What do brave men build according to the poem? Gold reserves, wealthy kingdoms, nations' pillars, armies. You know the answer. You answer it correctly. How high do brave men lift a nation's pillars? To the clouds, to the mountains, to the sky, to the stars. What does the poem say about gold? It makes nations strong. It is the foundation of strength. It is not the source of a nation's strength. It is necessary for greatness. 17th one. What is the result of bloodshed in wars? According to the poem, glory, decay, strength, victory. What does the poet say about nations built on pride? They last forever, they decay, they become wealthy, they are strong. Who are the men that make a nation great and strong? Wealthy men, brave men, proud men, military men. What is the right one? You know that very well. Last question. What is the overall message of the poem? Wealth and power are the sources of strength of a nation. Military might makes a nation strong. True strength comes from the virtues and perseverance of people. Pride leads to lasting glory. So, what is the overall message of this poem? You also know very well. And you please pick all of them correctly. And if you cannot answer any of these questions, you can just go to the last slide where you can find the answers to all these questions. So, these are the answers for 1 to 10 questions. These are the answers for the 11 to 20 questions. And with this video comes to an end. Dear DSC candidates, thank you so much for watching this video. And if you have any problem in understanding the poem, please text me on my WhatsApp number, or you can also make a mention of that problem in the comment section. I'm ready to answer it. Okay, please don't hesitate to call me. Don't hesitate to mention your problem in the comment section. Thank you, and once again, and with another beautiful video, I shall be back to you. Until then, bye. See you, all of you. Right.